Yeah, Bill Maher heard this and was like, maybe she hates trans people. That's what he probably thought.
That sounds like something I would say.
Yeah. Oh, I was right. He was like, yeah, maybe she was saying trans people. Am I right? I'm Bill Maher. You're on the Philly D Thumbo again because of my mention of Bill Maher. Oh, we're going to do that in a second.
That's because Bill devoted a nearly 9-minute segment of his show to calling out Chappell Roan for her support of Palestine. And he starts off by explaining who she is to his viewers who might be unfamiliar by saying she's actually a great recording artist who, like a Hezbollah pager, is really blowing up. With him then applauding Chappell for her previous statements on politics where she said she would question both sides and always use critical thinking. But you then had Bill saying that she isn't actually using critical thinking when it comes to Israel and Palestine, accusing her and her generation of getting all their news from TikTok. With him then spending a big chunk of that segment bringing up that Chappell is an out queer woman whose sexuality is a major part of her art and stage presence, and trying to use that to further his arguments.
Okay, this is spoiling the video that I was going to inevitably watch. I didn't realize he did the... That's why so many people are doing the LGBT apartheid shit.
Chappell, if you think it was repressive growing up queer in the Midwest, try the Mideast. You're a female drag queen and you sing "I you in the bathroom when we went to dinner, your parents at the table." That wouldn't fly, and although you would straight off a roof. And going on to say, you know when you sing that LA is where boys and girls can all be queens every single day? You're welcome. But offer not good in the West Bank. Chappell, you're not wrong that oppression is bad or that Palestinian and many other Muslim populations are oppressed and deserve to be freed. You just have it completely.
I love that every counter argument is like, whenever someone who is queer will be like, hey, I think it is really up. The immediate reaction from is like, I'm now fantasizing about you being raped. And like, how is that? How are you a normal person, dude? Like, how? What are you saying? How is this a normal reaction? Someone goes, oh, it is really not for me. It's not it, girl. And the first retaliation is like, you know what? You'd be burned off of a rooftop. They would kick you off a rooftop. Oh my God, they would you. I'm imagining a world where you're being, I'm normal. I'm a normal guy. There's a normal guy who's defending. Ah! What are you saying?
Completely as to who is doing the oppressing, with Bill then accusing her of being pro and therefore pro other forms of. And the fallout that we've seen from this have varied wildly depending on where you're looking. Right in the comments section of the YouTube video, people think that it was a mic drop moment from Bill, that he nailed it. But then over on Twitter, you had people slamming him both for his rhetoric around Israel and Palestine, as well as his choice to go all in on Chappell Roan. With folks saying things like, who the thinks it's okay for this old ass corrupt evil to talk about throwing a 26-year-old Chappell Roan off of a roof for being anti, and others saying this was 9 minutes of lesbophobic drivel because Chappell Roan said we should stop giving Israel money to slaughter Palestinians. As well as the likes of Hasan Piker saying that one day Bill Maher will be alone and sad and not a single person will mourn for him because the remainder of his smug boomer fan base will have also. And this is, you also had outlets like.
Okay, I found that my input was irrelevant in this subject matter because one, I'm the #1 hater of Bill Maher. If Bill Maher has no haters, that means I am. And two, because a lot of other Twitter accounts had already gotten to the issue and had done a pretty good job of dealing with the context. So I thought, well, how can I improve this situation? How can I bring up something that is new, unique, and different? And I thought, let's just blast it, you know? I didn't think it was. Anyway, it was just a moment that like I had to you know address as well. What is this? Here's an old clip, by the way. Hasan has been
of what goes on. Maybe it's because I have a better understanding of what goes on in these sorts of nations, considering that I am from a predominantly Muslim nation where I'm more progressive than 99.9% of the population there, and I understand that Turkey and Iran and Iraq are not a monolith, and there are progressive people, especially in the youth, that fight against their governments every single day. There are gay people, trans people in these countries that are fighting against their governments every single day. But when the United States comes down and rains hellfire upon these nations, it makes it infinitely more difficult to fight our own government because we're now busy fighting back against a very clear evil enemy, and that is the U.S. empire. And that's precisely why I get angry, and that's precisely why I'm very passionate about American imperialism. Okay? Maybe it's because I have a better
steroid voice. Oh my God, you guys are stupid. Thanks, dude. That's your takeaway. Holy, this guy's way more based. I know. It's funny that people try to repackage it. It's funny that people try to repackage it like whenever there's like news happening, but it's the same exact take. Agrees with you. Why don't you live stream talk to Asmin? I did. A gray name is a new Twitch account. Yes, that have gray as the default color. And usually, more often than not, it's like a person that made another sock account specifically to come in here and trigger and say stupid. The 4 articles about Israel treating 2 al-Nusra fighters. Isn't Israel supporting al-Nusra? Al-Nusra isn't Daesh. Please, Hasan, let me educate you on this matter. And as a Syrian, Marwan, don't do that. As a Syrian, can you tell Marwan to shut up? Yeah, but he has Syrian in his name. But Naim Berger, he's gonna tell me in a pro-Syrian way how he's going to defend. Let's just move on. Let's get back on the matter here, okay? Bill Maher, new rule, Dear Chapel Roan.
Finally, new rule. To mark the October 7th anniversary, we must launch a campaign to educate young Americans about the Middle East. And the way I'd like to begin that process is by addressing an open letter to Chapel Roan.
You made a great point when you mentioned Palestinians being able to change when given the chance to. If they weren't under occupation, Palestinians don't have the time to change. My mother, who escaped occupation early on in her life, was able to change her views and become an ally to the gays. Not trans just yet, but it's something that takes time, especially when you're fighting for your life. I wish more people understood that. Americans will never understand that, because the most dramatic, life-altering shift that happens to Americans is when the $5 jalapeno popper at Applebee's is now $6. Okay? That is the worst kind of horrifying, like, that is the most unimaginable cruelty to an American, okay? American when no burger, okay? We are the burger nation. American when no burger is like, oh my God, please don't tell me, issue trigger, please, before mentioning no burger to American. I burger American. Don't do it. The greatest threat to American sovereignty is when Aunt Jemima no longer had the same lady that they were depicting because woke, okay? Nation of spoiled children.
Now, to those viewers who aren't watching this while also looking at their phones, let me explain. Chapel Roan is not the name of one of Trump's golf courses. She's actually a great new recording artist who, like a Hezbollah pager, is really blowing up.
You piece of... That's... Oh, my God. Okay.
In just a few months, she went from a struggling artist to getting 3 billion plays on Spotify.
Once again, I must remind you that the Hezbollah pager, simple meme for Bill Maher, basically maimed 2,000 plus people, including first responders, nurses, and also members of the Lebanese parliament. And last but not least, 2 children, okay? Like kids, like little babies, okay? Just a reminder of the types of that Bill Maher thinks is funny. Now, of course, besides that point, this is Mr. Religulous, okay? He's Mr. Atheist, who's doing the act of... Would it shock you to find out that it was a religious, a religious ethno-state that was conducting this act of, while simultaneously maintaining an apartheid? Of course, Bill Maher makes, you know, he allows that kind of thing to occur. He doesn't care about that.
Spotify, netting her almost 11 cents.
You just called them people, kids, and babies? Yes, dude. What are you supposed to say about a 9-year-old? What am I supposed to call a 9-year-old who exploded in the pager a person? Like what? An adult, a 9-year-old adult woman, child? What am I supposed to say?
But here's what caught my eye. She seems like a Gen Zer who can be reached, because I saw her on TMZ say,
like, obviously the policies of the right, but also some of the policies on the left.
Yeah, Bill Maher heard this and was like, maybe she hates trans people. That's what he probably thought.
That sounds like something I would say.
Yeah. Oh, I was right. He was like, yeah, maybe she was saying trans people. Am I right? I'm Bill Maher.
She also said, I think it's important that people use critical thinking. I think it's important for me to question myself, question my algorithm, question, is some person that tweeted something about someone else even true? Preach, queer ally, preach. But then we get to Israel. And Chapel, this is where we must put to the test your pledge to use critical thinking and to question whether what you're reading on social media is true, because it isn't. There's a whole history of the Middle East that you and your fans aren't hearing about. So why don't you...
Oh my God, here we go. Here is the boomer power hour where I'm going to tell you Israel is the most moral nation on the planet. Israel is right and all of its enemies wrong. Israel had no choice but to dominate this entire region. Israel had no choice. That's it. You know, you just simply don't understand. You don't have a high enough IQ to understand why Israel must behave and operate this apartheid regime for 76 years. He'll bring up the Holocaust. He'll say that the Palestinians have always have never been a partner in peace. Israel is the most moral democracy on the planet. Am Israel high?
Let me be your spirit guide through this. But before I do, let me tell you a little about myself, since you may have no idea who I am, considering in the air you were barely old enough to be told you were in.
Yeah. You're too young. It's like, dude, what do you mean? What is being shown on your algorithm? What's being shown on their algorithm is literally children with American. That's it. When I see that, I'm like, we got to stop this no matter what. Okay. I see that and I think to myself, even if I was uninitiated, even if I was completely uninitiated with the subject matter, I'd be like, that's wrong. No matter who's doing it, we should put an end to it. But of course, the boomer mind is so much more complicated than that. If the boomer mind looks at that and goes, well, what were they wearing? What were the babies wearing? Were they asking for it? What are the vibes of the baby that got mutilated? Okay. Annihilated with American weapons. That's it. That's all this 9-minute monologue is him being like, honestly, what color was the baby is the actual question going on through their mind. Oh, 100%.
In the wrong body. So, my name is Bill Maher. I'm 35. I've been to all of Diddy's freak-off parties, and I work at the same place as Euphoria. In fact, she's right down the hall. My TikTok handle is BeNasty, and I go live every Friday night with the anime filter on. And I once won a smoke-off against Willie Nelson, Woody Harrelson, and Snoop.
Dude, honestly, I mean, these people are going to soon, so there's not really much else to say. They're going to soon, and they live miserable lives anyway because all of their immediate relatives are no longer answering their phone calls, you know? That's not me being like, oh, like, I hope they or anything. I'm just saying, like, time will run its course. If you are the type of person that's like laughing your ass off at this, that's it. You got like maximum a decade remaining in your lifespan. Maximum. Okay, that's it. It's like, you young wokes, you're so doing your gender. It's crazy. Can we listen to someone less odious instead? Maybe Ben Shapiro. Unironically, Ben Shapiro comes across more likable. At least he's more honest in his like a bloodlust and doesn't present it in this like incredibly arrogant way that Bill Maher does, where he's like, I know more than you. Dude, what you're saying up until this point is no different than like Clay Higgins talking about, oh, you wokes did your gender under your woke sky and now nuclear holocaust is upon us. It's like, it's the same. You're just more annoying. Like at least Bill Higgins is like, or Clay Higgins is funny, you know? Clay Higgins put out bangers, dude, at the Auschwitz concentration camp. He put out a goddamn banger out there. You ain't done. Last time you had a good moment was when you said the 19 hijackers were brave for diving into the Twin Towers. That's the last time you said anything remotely considerate, brave, bold, radical, edgy, make people question themselves. And ever since then, it's been downhill, dude. Oh yeah, he did say the N-word as well. But again, that's in column B, not column A.
Okay, that one's true. But no, look, truth be told, I'm a baby boomer. I remember phone booths and cars with ashtrays and vaginal sex. And I didn't learn about the Middle East from TikTok, which is a Chinese company whose totalitarian government would just love to have America's youth hating America.
Dude, that's awesome. Oh, God. Oh, brother. There's so much right-wing nonsense on TikTok. And it's very interesting that they never talk about that. I guess they don't give a when it's like right-wingers criticizing America. That's like genuine American invention, right? You can have that on every social media platform. But God forbid you have some leftists that like gain prominence on the platform, you know? Then it's like, oh, China is is trying to America by teaching the youth that America is bad, you know? If you don't want people to feel like America is a goddamn country, then maybe you shouldn't give $20 billion in weapons to instead of, I don't know, fixing the roads or engaging in student loan debt relief or, I don't know, universal health care. You know, we're the richest nation on the planet.
That's some of that algorithm stuff you say you want to look into. Now, first off, the fact that you don't know much history isn't your fault. You live in the United States, where the schools stopped doing that whole teaching facts thing a while ago. But getting all your history from TikTok is like getting all your calories from Hostess. I know you're moved by what you see on there. We all are, the Palestinian bodies. But it's odd that your generation didn't seem nearly as moved by the Jewish on October 7th.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's awesome. Yeah, dude, every 17-year-old, like, non-binary teenager actually also has this, like, deep resentment towards Israel that they were basically primed with. No, dog. For many people in this generation, they were shocked at the horrors of October 7th. They were like, oh, my God, what the fuck is happening? And then for 12 months, they realized, slowly but surely, oh, my God, this is what Israel has been doing this whole time? And they were like, yeah, I think they're probably a lot worse than during October 7, which is true. Like, mathematically, it is true, okay? Israel's actions post-October 7 are infinitely worse than what Hamas did on October 7. This is, like, mathematically correct. The only way that you would disagree with this is if you genuinely think that Israelis are human beings and everyone else is not, okay? Like, even if you were to put Hamas and Israel, a nuclearized militant state that is conducting an apartheid, on the same moral playing field, even though they are not. One is a resistance group, okay, born out of necessity. The other is literally America's unsinkable aircraft carrier, okay, doing unimaginable. But even if you were to place it on the same moral playing field, you know, even if you were to do a both sides type argument, Israel still is infinitely worse. That's it. It's infinitely worse. And they are not on the same moral playing field anyway.
You at Coachella this year, but when Hamas is at a music festival, it's a whole other thing. Doesn't the sight of so many young...
Oh, why didn't they laugh at that joke? Because there was no applause break. That's why. They probably were like, don't laugh at that. Those cackling hyenas, dude.
Women raped at a music festival? Make it a little personal? My guess is that Gen Z hearts are hardened by the propaganda you see on TikTok, which likes to call the Jews colonizers. But
no, they call Israel which is historically correct. I need people to understand something, by the way. I need people to understand something. The academic consensus on the matter is not on Bill Maher nor the media side, okay? No matter how much pro-Israel people try to suppress the truth, okay? In all of these institutes of higher learning, no matter how aggressively they stamp any kind of sentiment, the truth and the academic consensus on the matter remains. That's it. And you do not have to look any further than Early's leadership themselves that considered Zionism to be a colonial movement. And I'm not even talking about Jabotinsky, who obviously is even more aggressive than Herzl. Herzl himself also considered it to be a colonial endeavor. But they aren't colonists. If you look at Israeli government data, it shows 70% of Jews are from the region. What the f are you talking about, bro? 33 month subscriber. Are you insane? That is completely, that is a ridiculous statement. What do you mean Israeli government data that says 70% of Jews are from that region? What the f are you talking about, dude? Look, I'm not going to do this whole thing where it's like, oh, it seems like these guys are really white, or, oh, look at that. A Middle Eastern accent whenever you hear some Scottish person literally rolling a writer I saw that pulled that cherry pick out of their ass. Oh, this person is just simply repeating a talking point that some ass mentioned. That is not the case, for the record. That is not. 70% of Jews in Israel are not from the region. Also, what do you mean the region? If you mean MENA, okay, yes, a lot of Israeli Jews are Arab and North African. That is true. the Mizrahi Jewish part of Israel is from, I guess, surrounding countries. That doesn't mean they are from historic Palestine.
Or when your mom took over Facebook.
If I recall correctly, Mizrahi is also second-class citizenship. No, it's not. Not anymore. It used to be. It used to be originally. It's not anymore.
When the Dutch took over South Africa, they had no history to the land. They just wanted it. But Israel is the Jews' homeland. And Jews have always lived there. I cap you not. You can look it up. It's in this book called The Bible.
Oh my science. I'm here to own you by sourcing the Bible. Epic memes. I'm an atheist, by the way. That's awesome, dude. La source, the Bible. Dude, why is every atheist like this? Whenever it comes, this, dude, what is going on? This guy did the Religulous documentary. Hello? Base department calling La Bible for my epic takedown? What's next, dude? Are you anti-gay? Source, La Bible? La Bible much? I've decided I'm not wearing two different kinds of cotton or two different kinds of wool and cotton. I'm not going to be mixing that. No more polyester for me. Source, La Bible? What an idiot, dude. What are you doing? What the... This guy, dude, this guy.
Which is horribly wrong about sex ed, slavery, science, and cooking, but the archaeology checks out.
Oh, he's like, La Bible, wrong about everything except for the thing that I agree with. Oh, got it, dude. Sick. Sick argument, dude. What now, liptards? I found a coin. Source, La Bible. This justifies the ethnic displacement of 750,000 people that were living in these villages for hundreds of years. Source, La Bible. Also, the coin I found. Sick, man. Sick. What a fantastic argument, dude. Yeah.
It says the Jews built a temple with a really big wall 7 centuries before Muhammad or Islam ever existed, and sure, you can still go there and touch it. Calling Jews colonizers in Israel is like calling Native Americans colonizers here. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't, dude. This kind of does not work on anyone, okay? This barely is an argument that maybe my Jewish chatters will agree with here. This barely works on like people that are going to, I don't know, Jewish camp or something as a child. Okay? It's ridiculous. Does he think Palestinians are modern Saudis? I don't think he understands anything. I don't think he understands that, like, the people that remained behind first converted to Christianity and then Islam as well. And that, you know, it doesn't really matter. Because you can't, there is no world where Native Americans would ever agree to this either, by the way, but there's no world where like an alien force comes in and starts nuking America and then is like, we're going to give every area that we nuked back to the Native Americans. That would be ridiculous. And it's not something that the natives want anyway. Like when natives talk about land back, they're not talking about like massacring random American children and all of them, like making them subjects of a colonial occupation for almost a century. It's all, yeah, it's like uniquely gross. It's a uniquely gross way to just like invoke the natives, which, by the way, Bill Maher on any given Sunday would be making fun of, for the record. Aren't you Muslim? Being gay is prohibited as well. Yeah, it's all good when I your dad in the ass. That shit was halal, baby. Okay. The way he was moaning and screaming after he said the Shahada too, I converted him to Islam. I your father in the ass, and then he converted to Islam. He reverted. Dumbass. He said it was a religious experience.
ridiculous. Chappell, did you know that for 2,000 years, Palestine was like an Uber driver with a 3-star rating? Nobody wanted it.
I love that he's literally regurgitating like boomer ass, like a land without a people, for a people without a land. Yeah, dude. There was so little people there that 750,000 of them had to be forcefully removed from their homes, never to be returned. Like, what the are you saying? God, I think maybe it's because I interact with them more. Like, I think like liberal of this sort is more annoying than Republican, because that one is like so overt. You know what I mean? That one is so in your face and you're so used to it. Your expectation is that like when someone is a right-wing monstrous piece, like they're gonna do that. But when liberals engage in this kind of, it's just, there's also this intellectual, smarmy, elitist patina. And you're like, oh, you're so smug. You're just as dumb as the Republicans that you think you're better than, but you're not. You're gross. You're a gross, disgusting, monstrous little cretin. Ooh, it's so goddamn annoying. This is why I know there is no, and not to be like, not to get all atheists on this, but like, this is why I know there cannot be a God, okay? Because goddamn, there would be some biblical style punishment that this would be getting dished out for being this smug, this consistently, and this horrifyingly, monstrously, this much on the main too. Like, there can't be. So in a way, Bill Maher reaffirming atheism everywhere, because if there was a God, you would be getting biblical style punished, okay? Like straight up, 7-generation curse on your entire family type, okay? Like, look at his ugly ass face. You like what I did there? No one wanted to live in Palestine. Like, if God was real, there would be a sinkhole opening up under the Bill Maher studio right at this very moment, sucking every single animal that's laughing at his awful boomer jokes alongside him.
And there was never any Arab country called Palestine. It was an orphan province. And if you ask people what they thought about it back then, they'd say it gave them the ick.
What?
But after World War II, and after the Jews were very nearly wiped,
is not a disturbance of some romantic natural ethnic order of the land. It is a practice of dispossession and control. When Joseph Weitz, the head of JNF's land division in the British Mandate, says there's no place for compromise, transfer them all, don't let a single village remain, he's articulating this zero-sum settler colonial logic, one which he carried out himself when he evicted countless villages. And he should know he was on Ben-Gurion's transfer committee. I think the only difference is like it's happening so close. Like it's happening in broad daylight in front of our eyes, and we are getting to see it step by step. And even like the beginning stages are not that far. Like there are, I mean, the president was alive when this was happening. You know what I mean? Like that's how close we are generationally to the inception of Israel as a you know, settler colonial entity in the region. So it's hard to read in the history books all of the things that like American pioneers did, you know what I mean? Rape and pillage and destroy the land and engaging like of the population, and then watch it unfold in front of our eyes and go, no, that's actually super sick. Like that's totally fine. I like that they're doing that. It's hard to do that. Either you have to be more honest in the way that Republicans are and be like, that's CRT, that's woke, that's gender, that's that should not be taught in schools, that's DEI, and just like rewrite history even more so than we have in terms of like whitewashing the, like, if you're gonna do might is right, at least the Republicans are honest about it. You know what I mean? Like they're doing might is right more honestly than this is.
Out by an actual attempted, they decided historic homeland to be an actual country.
I used to think when reading about the founding of Israel as a teenager that people were just unaware of it, that people are just morally good and don't know. But now I have a front row seat to watch people engage in this voyeuristic pleasure of watching, and I think my faith in humanity is gone and was always misplaced. No, I think most people are misguided still, and they can learn. But if they're not taught the right lessons, they will turn into the current German society, German liberals, German governance, because they did this, and look what they're doing now.
So that for once they could defend themselves. And the UN, we like them, right? Yeah, they agreed and voted a country for each.
Dude, like Invoking the UN right now is so funny when Israel is like on the boundary of the UNIFIL units that were placed on the blue line inside of Lebanese borders, and they're like about to a bunch of European UNIFIL members. It's just like, dude, you don't give a fuck about the UN. Why are you invoking the UN? What a stupid argument. Like, the UN has made the most statements. Like, the one country that they've like yelled about the most is Israel.
Of the peoples. One side agreed to that, but the Arabs had a slightly different proposal.
That's crazy. I can't believe that, like, I can't believe that the Arabs didn't agree to the proposal where they would give like 20 or 30% of the population 52% of the land, dude. That's crazy. Also, Arabs is a monolithic group. They're all you know, one unit, one mind, one soul, one body. These barbaric hordes wanted to come after the beautiful state of Israel that was supposed to be created there.
They said, how about we keep it all and wipe you out? Chappell, if you think it was repressive growing up queer in the Midwest, try the Mideast. You're a female drag queen, and you sing, I you in the bathroom when we went to dinner, your parents at the table. Yeah, that wouldn't fly in Gaza, although you would straight off a roof.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You would fly straight off a roof when Israel the roof. Shut the up, you piece of dude. The idea that like, oh, dude, gays are being thrown off roofs in Gaza. First of all, there are no roofs left in Gaza. We blew them all up, okay? So that's number one. Number two, this notion that like every Arab is like waiting for someone to be suspected of being gay so they can throw them off roofs is ridiculous when Israel literally off of the roof and occupy West Bank the other week. We watched it happen. It's on camera. Israelis kicking off Palestinians off the side of a roof, dude, off the side of a rooftop in West Bank on video. And these monstrous pieces are like, oh, dude, they're going to do ISIS style any day now. What if you were gay in Gaza? I don't know. You would not because Hamas would do, by the way, because Israel would do. Israel is how many gay people in Gaza? Who knows?
The same goes for knee deep on the passenger seat and you're eating me out. Yeah, my guess is the morality police would figure out that one's not about the drive-through.
The morality police, dude. Number one ally to Israel, for the record, Saudi Arabia, morality police.
And your feather boa wearing ass. You know when you sing that LA is where boys and girls can all be queens every single day? You're welcome, but offer not good in the West Bank. Chappell, you're not wrong that oppression is bad, or that Palestinian and many other Muslim populations are oppressed and deserve to be freed. You just have it completely ass backwards as to who is doing the oppressing.
Yeah, it's Hamas. They have to be freed from Hamas, which is Israel. Israel's doing that, right? Just like Lebanese people have to be freed from Hezbollah. Palestinian people have to be freed from Hamas. Okay, Israel has to be freed from Likud and the Jewish Power Party. By your analysis, that means we have to nuke Tel Aviv. Like, what are you talking about? Would anyone be on board with that? That would be unacceptable, okay? Completely unacceptable, especially for the 8 HasanAbi heads living in Israel right now. I hope you guys are safe. Don't Fed post in the chat. You guys are so stupid. Immediately, you're like, yeah.
Hamas is a mafia that took over Gaza. National Guard is a mafia that took over Iran. ISIS is a mafia that took over Iraq.
ISIS and Israel are like this, okay? ISIS and Israel, both in application and method, bastardization of religion, using religion as a galvanizing principle, are literally like this. Israel has also collaborated with ISIS, regardless of what Marwan, the Syrian goat, has to say in the chat. So, you know, it's just weird. It's like ISIS never attacks Israel. It's just odd. It's, I don't know. It's weird to me that this peak like Islamic scourge is somehow always finding themselves exclusively butchering, slaughtering the Yazidi population, the Muslim population. Huh. It must be a coincidence. I don't know.
Iraq. The Taliban is it mafia that took over Afghanistan. These are the oppressors. And when you make it all about Israel, you take the pressure off of them. You enable them. The Iranian regime is 600 protesters after a 22-year-old woman in police custody.
Dude, there's nothing funnier than talking about a anti-Iranian government protesters being slaughtered. You're literally saying that you only care when you can use Muslims as a talking point, okay? You're using regional actors, like people that are in the region as a talking point. That's it. That's it. You're literally saying Israel gets to kill as many people as they want, including Kurds living in Iran, and you can't say a goddamn thing about it. But God forbid anyone else then we'll use it as a talking point to justify Israel, all of these other people. Wait, can you put my car back in the garage, please? Thank you.
Following her arrest of wearing her head covering in.
This is why, by the way, this is why it was so frustrating during the Al Ahli hospital explosion, not the Al Shifa one, not the new Al Aqsa one. The Al Ahli one was the first like big major thing that happened, right? Where Israel was like, no, it was actually Hamas rockets that blew up on the courtyard. Actually, Islamic Jihad, Palestinian Islamic Jihad rockets that blew up in the courtyard. And everyone was like, Israel would never blow up a hospital. It was actually, you know, Palestinians that blew up the hospital. And everyone was condemning the Palestinians over and over again. They were like, oh, the Palestinian resistance, they blew up their own people. This death and destruction is unimaginable. When they were doing that, when everyone was chirping about that, okay, I could not believe it because Israel had shelled that exact same hospital 2 days prior, Al Ahli. But not only that, but Israel had already thousands of Palestinians. So basically, the entire world's sentiment on that moment, the entire world's sentiment in that moment was Israel gets as many Palestinians as possible. They're doing the best job when they do that. This was before they invaded and blew up every single hospital in Gaza, by the way. But at that point, they were like, Israel would never blow up a hospital, which was obviously a lie. But then beyond that, the idea was it is only appropriate for Israeli Palestinians, okay? As an accident, even if this was an accident, which there is no evidence that it was, okay? Still, to this day, by the way, we never found out who actually was responsible for this explosion in the courtyard. But it didn't even matter because ultimately they blew up every hospital. They literally blew up a tent city last night. This pathetic excuse of a human being's politics just comes down to looking for perceived hypocrisy and a shock at violence, then proceed with complete apathy at the horrors being carried out in front of his eyes because that's war, and spew some history he learned on an evangelical YouTube ad. He's like a child. When Hamas civilians, everyone needs to be shocked because nothing can justify it. But when Israel slaughters them in the tens of thousands, there's context. Exactly. Well, the context is that he is perceiving that like Hamas is slaughtering civilians. That's the context.
Incorrectly. Just to be clear, that's your team. Iran is who sponsors Hamas and Hezbollah. Are you sure this is who you want to throw down with? Meryl Streep spoke at the UN recently and said this about the Taliban, who are only slightly more conservative than your heroes in Hamas. She said, today in Kabul, a female cat has more freedoms than a woman. A cat may go sit on her front stoop and feel the sun on her face. She may...
Yeah, it's really up. If only we hadn't armed them, radicalized them, used them as a cudgel in the Afghan civil war, used them as a force against the USSR that was invading Afghanistan in the aftermath of said civil war, during the same civil war, and then gave them Afghanistan, then invaded Afghanistan again, fought a ton of Afghan civilians for 20 years of our occupation, only to give them the country once again. And then on top of that, to add insult to injury, refused to give the current governance of Afghanistan their own money that we still have seized. You want the people who 40,000 plus people as our allies, lol. Maher has to use a quote about Afghanistan because there aren't examples about Gaza. I know. But again, it goes back to the monolithizing the entire Arab population, including the Taliban, which is not even Arab. Like everyone in the MENA region, including in the southeastern part of the continent, are all the same. What could be the one factor? If we went to war in Malaysia or Indonesia, he'd probably be chirping in the same exact way because it's Islam, okay? Central Asia, South Asia, it's all the same. If you're Muslim, even remotely Muslim or around other Muslims, you're a terrorist, okay?
They chase a squirrel into the park. A squirrel has more rights than a girl in Afghanistan today. A bird may sing in Kabul, but a girl may not. You're a singer, and you're advocating for a place and a culture you would never want to live under. Gender may not be binary, but right and wrong kind of is.
Oh, is this guy on APAC payroll? No, dude, he's just a disgusting little cretin. Here's a fun Bill Maher clip. Apparently, Tiana Trump, the porn star, recalls when Bill Maher paid her to him and to go slowly and kiss him as if she loved him. This account says he's a pathetic, lonely, unlovable man whose lack of humanity comes through in his relationships as well as his indifference.
So I got hooked up with him. Some like porn star had hit me up. Apparently he likes this. I'm probably gonna give it away. Black girls.
Yeah. Look, Bill Maher loves black girls. Is it Bill Maher?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, but he's not a politician.
She said he had a political show. She didn't say he was
he's got a political show. I tell you what, to make you feel even more comfortable, then, right? I've been a Hollywood dude for a long time. Bill Maher, I feel, and this is totally genuine, I feel his whole position and his whole as a comedian for the last 20 years.
I think one of the craziest parts about this entire 9-minute monologue, by the way, is that if everything Bill Maher said was true, okay, which none of which was, but even if everything he said was true, if like literally Palestinian authorities are, they love gay people, like for sport, okay? 40,000 Palestinians is not the solution to it. So not only is what he's saying not true, but the justification for it is still so senselessly idiotic. But that's the one speed that they have. Like, he's like, yeah, we have to eradicate the entirety of the Palestinians because they're a scourge on the population. Also, it's really sad when Palestinians are throwing other Palestinians who happen to be gay off roofs, which, by the way, they don't. But even then, even if they did, it would still not be a justification for... This only works if you literally are primed to the gills with Islamophobia, where you're like, yeah, the only condition for Arabs and Muslims as a whole is just death and destruction. Like, they deserve the violence that they're subjected to. They have to be brought to heel. Okay,
is just to have been impressed black girls. That's it. So like, he's been out to dinner with
Corinne
every
Steffens.
Yeah.
So I don't think. I mean, I don't. He was really like weird though.
Bill Maher? Well, he's older. You know that, right? Like, he's in his 60s, and it's like,
well,
hey.
I lied to him. So I started to lie to everybody about my age. So like, when I went there, I was 18, and he was like, "How old are you?" I was like, "I'm 22." He was like, "Well, when did you graduate high school?" I couldn't think of the math in my head, so I just said something. He was like, "Well, sweetie, that would mean you're this old." And so he was like, "So you're lying to me? I don't like liars." So he got real serious, and then he started asking me other questions.
Really?
So I was getting money from him, obviously, because he paid me for the service, blah, blah, blah. And I had to split it with the person, or give him a cut, because they had booked it.
Yeah.
He was like, "What person?" He was so mad. You could tell he probably wanted to cancel. Like, it was the most awkwardest experience ever. But there's so much more, but I don't want to speak on it. He has a really big dick, though.
That's what I heard.
Nice.
So here's what I heard. Like him,
like that.
David
Good for
Spade.
him.
I heard Spade's got a fucking
David
hammer
Spade's
on
hung,
him.
yeah.
And there's guys that are just known as like, all right, cool, you got a big dick, put up with this. My question is this though: is you're not a prostitute?
No.
So is there a service for porn stars where it's just like, hey, I want this porn star and I'll take this porn star and it's cool? Who is he calling and who is he paying at that point?
Black girls?
Yeah, but who does Bill Maher call? Like, did you have a pimp or somebody who was just like, hey?
I literally have, it was another porn star, and it was a white girl, and I don't think she's him, but she just is like, I think she just sets shit up for us. Because I know another black girl that went and seen him, and like, she went through the same person I went through.
But how does the money exchange hands then? Does it have to go through the white girl?
No, he gave it to me.
Oh, did he? In cash?
Mm-hmm.
That's some big boys.
The extra, because he was pissed.
Really?
Yeah.
What was he so pissed off about?
That I lied about my age, and that I was giving someone a cut. He was very upset that I was giving someone a cut. He didn't know that.
Really? Because he thought it was some form of prostitution? Or?
I have no idea, and I don't want to know, and I've never seen him again. I seen him one time. It was so weird. Because, first of all, I'm 23 right now. So
sure.
Me having a conversation with somebody like that, we are never on the same level. There's not one thing that we can talk about. It was just, what? That was weird. That was like trying to put two magnets backwards together. Like,
he's close to 45 years older than you, somewhere in there. How was this?
Boring.
Boring, yeah. But he had a huge dick, so it's like, all right, cool. Yeah, but it just
wasn't my speed. Put it that way. His speed was like rabbit speed.
Oh, his was?
Or not rabbit speed. I'm rabbit speed. His was like more like sloth, like very like slow. And he wanted to kiss and make love, and he was like, "Slow down, baby." Like every time, like, I'm trying to get this shit done.
Yeah. You want to get the fuck out of there at this point. He's just like, hey, I'm with a 60-year-old white dude who's slicking his hair back, and he's pale. That's a pale. He's almost see-through. That guy is almost see-through. And when you're having them, you're probably just like, hey, just let me get this money and get the fuck out of there.
Yes.
The New York Post saw Bill Maher at a club in 2017. Yeah, I've talked about this before as well. The most startling revelation here is that Bill Maher probably got the idea for Club Random from his awkward conversations with the women he's paying with them. Before I knew someone that went to a club where Bill Maher was at as well. He loves that. Sanctum is the name of this club. Anyway, the reason why we watch that is because just know that, you know, he is a miserable, pathetic little scumbag. Yeah, weird. We already know he's a denier. Buying work doesn't make him worse somehow. Wait, what? No, dude. The point is not that he bought work. What the f are you talking about? The point is he's a miserable, lonely human being who can only get a modicum of human interaction that he pays for. And then in the aftermath, people are like, yeah, it sucked. He's not married. No, he is a lonely little freak begging not only for work, but specifically work that is demanding like some kind of fake emotional intimacy. That means it is something that he never gets in his life, and he will never be able to get it in his life because he is a rabid little loser. Okay. Also, he's bad at. Anyway, yeah. Our man arrested outside of Trump's Coachella rally.
Live in studio with the very latest on